Asia and support for Group Project. Our main aim is to raise awareness about the impact social media has on youth mental health and overall well-being. Before we start with the questions, we'd like to give a brief introduction about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Hamna. I am a clinical psychologist and I'm working here as a school counselor. I have a lot of experience working with youth, working with adolescents from the ages of 12 to 18, and I feel like this is a really crucial time period for them. So mental health is really important in this specific age group.
Alright, thank you very much. So the first question is that according to your experience, how would you describe the overall impact of social media on the mental health of young people?
Honestly, social media has more negative impact than positive because it constantly exposes a young person to comparison, to instant feedback, to this pressure to be someone they're not. So over time what happens is that this creates a lot of confusion, a lot of self-doubt for the people. And what I've noticed is that because you get instant feedback, instant replies through social media, so a lot of young children, they don't have the patience anymore. They don't have the tolerance for delayed gratification. So yes, social media does reduce your patience, it increases your frustration, and over time contributes to a lot of different mental health problems.
Alright, so the second question is that what are, in your opinion, the biggest ways social media has affected young people's physical well-being?
Physical well-being, I feel like it has really affected the way these young people rest these days, because what I've noticed is that the concept of real rest is slowly dying down. People, young students, they come home and they just start using their phone. Doom scrolling is becoming really common these days. So doom scrolling does not mean real rest because your brain is not resting. It is still active. You're still being exposed to a lot of information. So your brain is always in this constant alert mode. And this constant overstimulation makes you feel tired. It affects your attention span. It affects your concentration. And also students, they use, young children, they use phone while they use late night scrolling, and before sleep they're using their phone. So that affects their sleep quality as well. So yes, it has affected their physical well-being in terms of sleep, in terms of attention and concentration.
Alright, the last question I'll be asking you is, how do popular social media platforms affect young people's self-esteem?
With all of these popular social media platforms, they have one thing in common, where you're constantly exposed to people of your own age who are doing better than you. So young people, they're constantly exposed to this comparison. Constant comparison over time makes you doubt yourself. You overlook your own positive things and you feel like you're not good enough. So that is what I believe, it affects their self-esteem because they don't value themselves. These days, real value is measured through the number of likes you get, the number of reposts your posts get. So real worth is not really valued anymore. Everything depends on the amount of likes you're getting through social media.
My name is Alicia and I'll be asking you next 3 questions. My first question I'll be asking you is, in your opinion, what are the greatest dangers posed by social media for young people's mental health?
I think cyberbullying and low self-esteem, the comparison they face. Because you see, these days, your social media profile, anyone can have access to it. And a lot of young people, they are threatened through it. A lot of young people, they are being cyberbullied and they don't know how to ask for help. So cyberbullying is really common, and then again, the constant use, the constant scrolling, it affects their mental health, it affects their frustration levels, and also it makes them feel incompetent.
Okay, next question is, what advice would you give to young people to keep them from suffering due to social media?
I think I would advise them to use social media intentionally, not out of habit, because young people, they use social media habitually, If they're sitting idle, they'll just pick up their phone. They don't know how to sit with their thoughts, they don't know how to sit with their feelings. So these days, young people, they don't like silence at all. They want constant stimulation all the time. So I would tell them to use it intentionally, not out of habit. Be mindful of the content you follow, manage your algorithm, and avoid content that makes you feel sad. Avoid reels that, even though they feel relatable, but they're not good for you. Because if you're constantly watching sad reels, you're gonna get depressed all the time.
So the last question I will be asking you is, what are some signs that an individual is getting harmed by the excessive use of social media?
If they can't live without their phone for even a few minutes, if they're constantly restless without their phone, that means that there's an excessive dependence. and seek, which is not normal. If they need to use phone to sleep, because a lot of people they need to use phone before sleeping, otherwise they don't sleep. And if they are talking about themselves in a negative way, if they constantly compare themselves to those they see online, or if they are overly impressed by an influencer, because you see influencers, they only show you what's the best part of their life, they don't show you the real part of their life. So if they are overly impressed by an influencer or they're constantly restless about their phone, I would say they are definitely affected by their smartphones.
So my name is Anil, and I'm interested in the next few questions. So in your opinion, what aspect of social media has the most significant impact on young people's mental health?
I think again the aspect where you are constantly exposed to other people's life, where you constantly feel like others are doing more than what I am. So that aspect where you have so much information, because you see there is always going to be someone who's doing better than you. So before earlier there was only comparison amongst your own peers, or there was only people you know. But now young people they have to compete with those online as well, and there's two different identities. One is your offline identity, and then one is your online identity. So this pressure to keep up with both these identities, I think that aspect really affects them.
So next question. In your opinion, what approximate age group is most affected by social media?
Definitely teenagers and pre-adolescents. So before 12, like around 11 to 12, and then 12 to 18. Because at this age, young people, they're not fully, their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. So they don't know how to navigate through the information they are getting. They don't have the emotional tools to understand the content that they're seeing. So they get easily influenced. It's very easy to be influenced by it. It's very easy to face peer pressure because of social media. So yes, this age group definitely has more impact.
So last question. What are some healthy habits that can be implemented to stay mentally well while using social media?
Number one again, set time limits. These days there are a lot of apps that you can install that will tell you that you have exceeded the time limit for your daily social media use. So set time limits and make sure that the time you're spending online, it should balance out with the time you're spending offline. So if you're spending 9 hours online, then just make sure and take a look at your day, that what amount of time are you spending in nature, what amount of time are you spending with real people. So always prefer real connections, real people over online people, and set time limits, manage your algorithm, and try to follow content that inspires you.
Okay, so my name is Mira, and I'm going to ask you, over the years, has the rise of social media platforms resulted in an increase of mental health issues?
Yes, definitely it has. You see, like I said, because social media, it affects your frustration levels, it affects the way it affects your tolerance of delayed gratification. Because you want everything to be instant. So when real life is not that stimulating, real life is very boring, you have to wait, you have to be patient for things. So when that does not happen, what it creates is anxiety. Young people, they come and they say that they want everything to happen quickly, they want to know how things are going to happen in a certain way. So when that does not happen, it creates anxiety, and again, watching negative content, watching extremely depressive reels and posts, it also makes you feel depressed all the time, because if you're constantly consuming negative energy, it will impact you. So yes.
Okay, so do you think that due to the excessive use of social media, the youth suffers from cognitive decline and emotional instability?
Cognitive decline, I won't say in the real clinical sense, because cognitive decline means that their IQ level, it declines. But what it affects is that it affects their cognitive functioning, the way they interpret information, it affects their attention span, it lowers their concentration, they are unable to focus. So ultimately that does contribute to them not being able to reach their potential. And as for emotional instability, of course it does, because again, like I said, that 1 minute you're using social media and you're getting these constant replies from other people, you're getting this constant new information, and then the next minute you have to talk to a real person who might not give you that instant information. Real people are a bit boring, so you have to be patient and listen to them. So it does create emotional instability.
Okay, suffered due to social media?
Yes, I have, because I remember where there was a case where I worked with someone who, because of excessive social media use, they started to dislike their own appearance. They were starting to find faults in the way they looked. It started with one feature at a time, and then suddenly, you're not beautiful enough like that influencer, and they started wearing a mask to cover themselves up. So yes, it affects your self-esteem, especially.
Okay, so my name is Mohammed Harun, and my question to you is: there is a growing belief that since many psychologists now do online consultations, isn't that similar to talking to an AI or a chatbot?
No, not. Because you see, AI or chatbot, it just provides you with information. As psychologists can understand your non-verbal cues. A psychologist is able to read your why you're not making eye contact, the pauses you take while talking, and your body language, the expressions you make. The chatbot cannot understand any of this. The chatbot will only understand what you write in it. So, and also these chatbots, they are curated in a way to give an answer that you like. They are not going to understand the context in which you're talking. They will not be able to understand the patterns you show. So chatbots cannot replace real human connections and empathy. They can't understand the real pain a human goes through.
Lastly, do you think that social media has any positive impact?
Yes, of course it does. When there are negatives, there are also positives of anything. So what social media has done is that it creates a lot of awareness. It is also an outlet for people. So it is an outlet for people who are really creative. You can share your talent, you can share your creativity through social media, and it also helps to raise voice for those who are suffering. And it is also making people more educated about so many things that in the past we casually overlooked, making insensitive remarks, making jokes about certain ethnicities. So I feel like social media has definitely created a lot of awareness, and it has also brought a lot of people together. So again, social media is not negative. The way you use it, that is how it makes it negative.
Alright, lastly, we would love for you to fill out your survey. Alright, thank you so much for your answers and your
Thank you
time.
so much. Thank you so much.